King of Fomo.
What's up, everybody? King of Fomo here, coming at you with your daily crypto update. All right, so we got another big platform to bring to you guys. I'm going to give you guys the reason why I'm joining HashAlpha. I put a 20K deposit into here. We're actually going to be doing that live in this video. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, all that stuff with this platform, with what I discovered, all the research that I've done in HashAlpha. As always, if you guys are interested, you guys can check out that link in the description below, but always do your own research, and all the disclaimer stuff that you saw in the beginning of the video, make sure you guys read that as well. All right, so what is HashAlpha? I'll give you the quick brief overview, then we'll talk a little bit more about it a little later in the video. This is essentially a platform that does Ethereum validation, right? So I'm pretty well versed in Ethereum validation. I've been validating for a couple years now, so I know that part of the crypto space. And they're essentially allowing people to do this at a lower cost point. So there's some good stuff about that. There's also some question marks that I have about it as well, but that is essentially what this platform is doing in the back end. So if you get logged on here, you're going to see a screen that looks something like this. So there's not too much to click on in the back office here. They do have a transparency tab, which shows you the validators. We can take a look at that a little bit later, but what most of you guys are interested in is how do you get started with this thing, and how much can you make with this thing overall. So if you go over to the staking section and go down to my stakes, you can see the different plans that they have going here. They have about 4 plans, the light plan all the way up to the elite plan, and they will pay out accordingly anywhere from 0.47% at the lowest plan to about 1.2% at the highest plan. Now, of course, as you go higher up in plans, it gets more expensive. So the lowest amount you can put in is $100, getting it up to about 0.5% daily, which is not that bad, honestly. A lot of times when I look at these platforms, I look at the lower plans and I say, skip that completely, do not touch that at all. But 0.5% is pretty good compared to 1.2%, twice as good, but I think both would be fine with the amount of time that you're waiting here. So some of the big factors about why this thing is a big play for me, we can talk about that right now, is number one, it is a compounding type of website, right? So what that means is whatever you put in, if you put in $100 and you make $1 today, the next day you might make $1.10, the next day you might make $1.20. So that's how compounding works. We have the same thing going over with Quantro Network, and that's working out extremely well for us. And it's really, like I said before, it's really rare to find a platform that does compounding within the system. And then the other big thing that makes it, really attractive is the fact that they do return your capital at the end of your period. So right here, if you're getting into the light plan for 60 days, at the end of that 60 days, if you put in $100, let's say you make $120, and then you make $20 within that 60-day period, and then at the end of that 60-day period, not only do you get your $20, but you also get your $100 out as well. So that's all good stuff. So you can do some more math here, like looking at this. For the Validator Elite, if you put in $20,000 at the close to about 100-day mark, a little bit less than that, you're going to get 100% approximately. So you'll get another $20,000 after the 100 days. Then after the 50 days, you'll get a little bit more from that. I think that it gives you a calculator of, like, at the end of it all, you're going to get about $33,000 that you're earning from this. If you're doing the elite plan, and on top of that, at the end of that period, that 150-day period, they're going to give you back your capital that you started with at the beginning. So you might be looking at having a grand total of $50,000, about $53,000 from start to finish that you have from here. But like I said, that's how the plans work. Those are the two big main factors that I really do like: the compounding and the capital return at the very end. So those are the positives with this. So let's go ahead and do our $20,000 deposit right now. So I already have, if you look in the dashboard right here, here's my overview. You can see I have a balance of $20,392. Some things to note, guys, when you do join here, if you do decide to jump into here. First of all, The deposit page is going to be down in staking, and you're going to press deposit, and then you're going to select any one of the coins that you have available here that you want to: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tron, or USDT. And they'll give you a wallet address. You go ahead and send that in, and you may make sure that you read this smart deposit tip. Consider depositing an additional 1% above your intended amount. The reason why is because you will have to pay a 0.5% staking pool fee, or it won't let you deposit. So if you just put in $100 for the minimum plan, well, you won't be able to do anything because you need $100.50, something like that. So make sure you put in that extra 1%. And the reason why it's put in extra 1% instead of the 0.5% is because if you put in the exact amount, even including that 0.5%, if the price of crypto goes up or down a little bit, then you're still going to be short if it goes down just even a little bit. So make sure you deposit a little bit more. That's the point of that. So once you do that, it's going to give you a wallet address. Send it over. It's going to take some time, right? They have to do a confirmation on your end. Then they have to do a confirmation on their end for sending it to their main wallet. And then eventually you'll see it in your dash. You'll see it in two places. You'll see it in your account if you go to wallets. You'll see it there, and it'll say either pending or sending or something like that. And that'll be for a little bit of time. And then once you see it on this screen right here, the total balance screen, that's when you can actually use it. So you might actually see it say completed, but you might have to wait a few more minutes, 30 minutes to an hour, before it actually shows up in your back office as the total balance. So that's how you get started with this thing. And of course, don't forget, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but don't forget to do your KYC. You do have to do a light KYC on here. It's just a driver's license upload, simple as that. So make sure you do that. That's becoming a regular thing in these platforms as we get into the regulated crypto space, which I think is a pretty good thing. So, all right, with all that being said, we can finally do our deposit. So I'm going over to staking. I already did all those steps where I did the deposit and all that stuff. So the last step is what I'm at right now. So we're going to go ahead and go down to Validator Elite so I can get that 1%, that juicy 1% daily up to 1.2% daily. And we're going to do the maximum stake. So I have, $20,392 in here. So I'm going to just try to put in everything. Let me just make sure I have the right amount here. Make sure I read that. Yeah, 20,392. So whatever I put in, I want to make sure that it equals that, and it does do the calculating fee for the fee. So 20,000. I think it's gonna be like 100 or 292. 291. That should be good. Let's just round it down to 290. So that'll be right there, $20,391.45. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that stake, and there's my pool fee of $101 right there. So we'll go ahead and hit confirm, and it says your stake is successfully created. So now you can't really see your stakes. These are just the plans, but if you click up here in the top corner, it says my stakes. This is where you're going to see my two plans that I have active, the light and the elite, or my test and my actual deposit. So over the next 150 days, hopefully I'll be making more videos than, once every 2 or 3 weeks, but who knows? Like I said, the name of the game that I'm really doing right now is true passive profits. So I don't have to sit here and manage it every single day. So we're going to see that compounding on the daily, going along with Quantro Network and Exit Coin, which is another question mark there. All right, so that's the good about this platform. That's how this platform works. Now, I'm going to give you guys full transparency. There's, of course, some question marks here. It's not all, roses and potatoes in the fields right now. Like I said, I wouldn't say expert, but I'm a seasoned Ethereum validator staker. So one of the questions I have about this is I'm not really sure how they're getting that 1% daily, because essentially I ran a lot of Ethereum validators at the same time, and you just don't get 1% daily from those things. You get a lot less. You're lucky if you get 5% yearly. We'll see exactly. I know they're doing other things too. They have their MEV boost going on, but even with that, it makes it a little confusing about how they're making up the difference if they're just doing validating. So that's one of the main question marks I have with this thing. If you're talking about this thing completely 100% valid, safe, real? You know, that's something that I have to find an answer for. And the other sort of concern I have, you know, I talked about this before, but positive is they do have a public CEO. You know, that's always a huge positive point. You can find someone that's talking about the platform as the leader of the platform. But we've seen time and time again that you know, doesn't matter too much in the long run. It does matter a little bit in terms of longevity, but the downside with that is, with Quantro Network, I think they're registered in Delaware, which is just a little bit of a bonus positive boost. If you have a company registered in the United States, it's easier for them to do not really do business in the United States. We'll talk about it in a second. But this company, I don't think it's registered in the US. I think they're registered in a different country. And, you know, that's always like a downside for me if it's an Asian-based company or something like that, because not because of anything against Asians or anything like that, but simply because if it's based in a country that's not the US, typically you have a much higher chance of them just cutting off people from the US and using that as an excuse. But like I said, we'll see what happens. This is brand new. That's the other giant positive. It's only a month old. So there's a lot to be made with this. And of course, that's why I try and jump into these things as early as possible, just in case things do go awry for whatever reason. You can make up your initial capital and hopefully ride it out from there, and hopefully things work out for the long run, right? We've seen platforms like this last for years sometimes. But that's enough of me droning on. Check out HashAlpha for yourself, guys. Hopefully this was a good overview video on how to get signed up, and I'll give you guys some updates on how my 20K is doing in here. And right now, I'm going to sign off and do a Quantro withdrawal, another Quantro Network withdrawal, guys. All right, guys, that is everything for this video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And, of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Peace out.